guys, I'm finally back after being gone for another month. So sorry to anyone. I don't know if anyone cares, but I've been overcommitting myself to things in life lately. I'm always busy. But I'm really hoping that after I graduate college, I'll be able to have more time for things that I enjoy, like talking on this podcast, like doing my art more often. Just wanted to come back and talk about some interesting environmental philosophies that are on the rise, that are trending, that I think will provide our world with a lot of hopes. The topic I've dedicated this episode to is called SolarPunk. If we have time and we don't yap too much, or if I don't yap too much about SolarPunk, we will get into some more environmental philosophies that I find interesting and have opinions on. But this bulk of this episode is going to be about SolarPunk because it is something that we are seeing trending on social media right now. And I'm very excited that an idea like this is trending and that it's getting out into the mainstream. Let's get into it. I view SolarPunk as definitely like, what's the word? An offspring of like a type of hopecore, just something that gets people hopeful in a very pessimistic world, or a very stressful world that we live in. Our world is very fast, very stressful. There's always multiple things going on at once. So first, I'm going to talk about what SolarPunk is from my perspective. Just in general, what I think it is, or like based on my values, if that makes sense, based off of the things that I like. I basically think SolarPunk is recentering nature and community into your life, as that's something that modern society is kind of rejected, or makes centering community and centering nature harder for different types of people depending on where they live in the world. Now I think we live in a world where people in communities, cities, urban areas are strangers to each other. This is not necessarily the case everywhere. There are still tight-knit communities and pockets of tight-knit communities that exist everywhere on Earth. We see online communities now. We see people connecting with like-minded people online. But in a lot of these capitalistic, fast-paced, what's the word? Individualized societies where it's all about the individual and what the individual is doing and competing against everyone, people feel like strangers, and a lot of strangers are pretty rude to each other. We're not actively working together. We're not actively talking to our neighbors. We're not actively trying to be kind to everyone. And that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when there's a lot of hate in the world. And beyond that, like strangers, we see people around us as strangers. As far as nature, we see nature as other. We see nature as over there. Like, nature is not here. We don't see ourselves as part of nature. We're in an urban area. We're humans. We're above nature. In a lot of senses, that's what most people perceive. The opposite of that, or what we want to encourage with SolarPunk, is to remember that we are a part of nature. And inherently, we should be taking care of not only ourselves, but of people in our community. And we should extend that community to the whole ecosystem, not just the human beings. We should be caring for everything with love and with mindfulness. In a SolarPunk society, we would rediscover that collaboration and helping others in our community is way easier and way more fruitful and abundant than promoting this individualism and me against everyone else. And just this intense rat race of like, oh, I've got to get money to do this, I've got to get money to do that, and then I've got to do this, and like, it's exhausting. And something that's been keeping me up at night lately is just thinking about how much time we spend at work, or how much time we spend working on a career, and how much that takes away from being with meaningful people in our life, like spending time with our family and nature, spending time with our community, and having these fruitful interactions that really, make life, like they really make life worth it, right? But we're spending so much time, all of our energy just being sucked by like corporate capitalism. And that's really how I've been feeling lately. So this SolarPunk idea somewhat recharges me. only slightly though, because it's like I know I have to do the work for this society to catalyze and become more of a thing. So at the same time, I'm like, there's weight on me because I feel like I need to help do the work, right? I'm looking at my notes to see what else I was thinking about this idea. You would see in a solar punk society, like what would outside look like? What would an urban area look like? We'd see green roofs, urban forests. I live in an area that has amazing urban forests and actually live right next to a restored wetland. It's fucking awesome. We need more communities like that. We need sustainable infrastructure. We need buildings that are energy efficient. Maybe they model something in nature. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of, like, what is it called? There's a word for it, but there's a type of architecture that mimics like things in nature and in biology to make them more efficient and make them look really cool and interesting. That's definitely something that you would see in a solar punk society. Those are things that do exist in today's world, but on a smaller scale. I encourage you to look into like sustainable architecture or architecture inspired by nature. It's very interesting. Part of SolarPunk, which I didn't realize until I started researching it, which we'll get more into the research, but it's all about sustainable technology and finding innovations within sustainability, which is really exciting to me because I've been thinking a lot about like what actually, like, what am I trying to say? As an environmental science student, everyone goes through this, okay, what do I actually want to do with my degree? Where does this passion actually originate from? And I've realized that I think what gives me so much passion about sustainability is how creativity and innovation are inherently a part of it. Without creativity and innovation, sustainability cannot flourish. I think a lot of people, and I'm considering this for myself, especially with the way the job market and world is going, a lot of people need to start investing in innovations within sustainability because that is where you could seriously like launch a business, or like you could seriously think of, okay, where's an area where sustainability is really hard, sustainability is not existing, where we could improve something. You're probably going to be very successful if you can think of something like that. So we'll see a lot more of this innovations and using technology in a more mindful way. We'll see solar everywhere. We'll see renewable energy everywhere. We'll see clean transportation, of course. We'll see food banks, community gardens, creative clubs and maker spaces, and just places where people can share knowledge and ideas and create together is what we'll see. And like I've said, I'm so thankful I live in an area that I would consider a mini, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but I'd say it's definitely getting close to like solar punk ideologies, in the sense that our art community is very strong, our community in general, like just the amount of things you can get involved in based on your interests or based on your advocacy for public lands, your advocacy for human rights. There's so many things you can get involved where I live, and beyond that, it's a very sustainable place to live. There's urban forests everywhere. You can drive 15 minutes and be in the woods. You know what I mean? Like, I am very thankful to live in a place like that that does prioritize sustainability. So with that being said, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say I'm thankful for being born here, because I think part of my life path comes from the fact that I was brought up in a very sustainable area, a very mindful area where most people value nature, and I think that's why I want to help other people remember to value nature, or to help other people's cities and communities get on track, if that makes sense. I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean like I want more communities to be like the one I live in. And the issue now with where I live is it's become gentrified, and of course it's like people are going to find a community like this and make it unaffordable for the people that were actually born here and who uphold these values. So where I live is slowly changing, and it's very scary that maybe it'll change and it won't be like this anymore. I've definitely seen the community aspects start to dwindle over time, It's not as strong of a community as it used to be. There's more strangers everywhere, there's more rude, entitled people everywhere, there's more Cybertrucks, like, you get what I'm trying to say. There's more Teslas everywhere, there's more $1 million mansions, like, it's fucked. It's fucked because it feels like what I'm talking about right now that we could be cultivating is getting more and more unattainable, even in places where the sustainability and community center does exist. It's being threatened by gentrification and unaffordable housing. Don't even get me started on the unaffordable housing in my area, because it's a really bad issue right now. Like, if you think housing's unaffordable across the board, it's even worse here. If you think the job market's terrible across the board, it's even worse here, because people really want to live in an area that has clean air, that has urban forest, that has cool things to do, but they don't want to keep it equal for everybody. They just want, oh, only rich people are allowed to have privilege to this. Well, who the fuck's to say that? What about the people that were born here? You know what I mean? And beyond that, this is native land that was stolen. So it's like, it's hypocritical for me to be upset that this place is changing. But it's not that I'm upset. I just have some concerns raised. And I think there's a lot of people in my community actively fighting against these threats. And I'm very thankful to see that there's still a lot of democracy. And I don't know if democracy is the right word, but like, there's a lot of advocacy and courageousness that still exists within the small community that I live in, that stands up for people's equal rights to housing, to whatever the case may be. I can't think of some of the other issues going on right now, but because this is a side tangent not related to SolarPunk. Guys, now that we've gone on this long side tangent about gentrification and about unaffordable housing and environmental privilege and all of the things, we're gonna look a little bit closer about what am I saying? We're gonna look a little bit closer at some of the articles I researched online to get a fuller sense of what are other people saying about SolarPunk, and also try to understand why is it trending right now on Instagram Reels. I don't have TikTok, but I'm assuming maybe it's trending on there too. This one I want to look at is Wikipedia, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's not a reliable source, but you really have to think about what is it that you're searching for, because that'll really determine the sources that are best for it. And I think in this case, where this isn't something that was created on the internet, like this is an internet idea, I think Wikipedia is a good source to look at. About SolarPunk is that this is a DIY post-capitalist society. It's a science fiction subgenre and an art movement. If I can figure out the editing, I will show some art pieces up here of SolarPunk. I've also made a drawing about what I would want communities to look like in the future, or what I would want communities in general to look like, and I think it really well fits this idea of SolarPunk without me even realizing it. But it's still at school, like I never got it. It got graded, I never got it back. I have no clue why, like my teacher never emailed me. So I'll try to put a picture of it up here as well. Like, this is something that artists and creatives and people are really trying to push this idea into the collective consciousness. They're trying to subconsciously, like, hey guys, look at how cool this world could be. Another great example of just encouraging people to think about like the future and think about what world they want for themselves is this piece I did. I think I did this about a year or almost 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. But on this side we have, okay, this is what will happen. This is like the consequences if we keep treating Earth this way. Shit's gonna be on fire like we already see every summer, especially in my area. Last year, my area was at a 98 or 99% risk of a wildfire. Thank God we have quite the workforce up here. But anyways, there's oil spills, there's trash, cut down trees, power plants. This is like apocalyptic, or not apocalyptic, but this is what will result, and this is what happens in some areas. And this is like, if we treat the earth good, this is what it could look like. Vibrant, beautiful, there's butterflies, there's bunnies. I didn't have room on this super small canvas to do like a community garden, but I definitely will be doing more art in the future on some bigger canvases with a similar idea, and I'm so excited to do SolarPunk art. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Anyways, if we keep getting distracted, I knew today was like not a good day to film, but I've been putting off filming for like 3 weeks. So I was like, you know what? I'm a little bit scatterbrained today, but let's just sit down and film. Anyways, SolarPunk Manifesto was originated in 2019, and it's a movement that asks, what does a sustainable civilization look like, and how can we get there? And I think that's a really just amazing thing to like push, like, okay guys, let's think about this. How can we start planning for this? And to be using art and fiction to do so is a really cool way to push that idea into the mainstream. Transition to full renewable energy. It's working with what materials we have available. Technology enables humans to better coexist. But at the same time, SolarPunk is also encouraging low-tech ways of living, such as gardening, permaculture, regenerative design, tool libraries, maker spaces, and DIY. Article I got was from BBC, which I'm very surprised BBC reported on something like this, but they described it as rooftop gardens, green roofs, green spaces, a change from competitive to cooperative. An example they give is a Verne Global Data Center service from a campus in Iceland is powered by 100% renewable energy. Another sidebar I want to say about data centers ran by renewable energy is that there is a search engine called Ecotopia that has like an AI chat, but it's ran 100% by renewable energy as well, and it plants a tree every time you use that search engine. So I have been trying to replace like Bing and Google and all of these ones that have that AI thing that comes up right away, like the AI overview, with instead Ecotopia, because obviously. Anyways, this article focuses a lot on carbon capture technology, which I thought was an interesting place to focus on related to SolarPunk, because a lot of the other articles focused on like the overarching overall idea of SolarPunk, while this one talks specifically about carbon capture technology. There is a Canadian firm using SolarPunk to convey their vision, and what they do is they use carbon capture technology to create enhanced concrete additives, and they also launched a consumer brand where they make t-shirts and paintings out of this carbon capture material. And I think that's very interesting to basically introduce a new medium or a new material to the art world and to the consumer, or what is it called? Production world. I can't fucking think straight today. I'm just exhausted. Talks a lot about how we will see a rise in eco-friendly, high-tech startups. And this reminded me of something that I researched last summer for my one of my internships I've done, where I was basically looking at a new solar technology that just dropped into the market. There's only like 2 companies working on it because it's only legal in the state of Utah, which is really odd that like these type of things have to be legal for people to like have access to them. Very strange to me. And that's a whole other side tangent about how utility businesses are monopolies and they try to control what everybody does and blah blah blah. But anyways, I was researching balcony solar, which is essentially, it's not that much of an innovation. It's basically just a smaller solar panel. Like, it's a solar panel on a smaller scale that's like relatively portable, and it plugs directly into the energy grid system. And it also, like, you can buy batteries that comes with it, so you can save, like, you can store energy if there's not sun for a while, if it's winter, whatever the case may be. But my point is that there are so many innovations happening in the energy world, in the technology world, that like people should be jumping on because they're new in the market, and you have the opportunity to not only be successful, make a lot of money, grow your business, but also to discover your own innovations that can be helpful to the world. Like, I think balcony solar would be so helpful because in a place like I live, a lot of people are not living in a home. They cannot afford a home. They are living under a landlord, they're renting, they're in an apartment, and so they do not have access to solar because you just can't, like, they're not just gonna let you get one unless you own the home. So balcony solar would make it so anyone could have access to balcony solar and could have some sort of energy independence and some sort of saving money on their bills per month and some sort of what is the word? Contributing to renewable energy. That's what I was looking for. But anyways, another side tangent about a new technology emerging. I have another quote. I don't remember who Miss Tickle is, but that's who said this quote. The tech industry, social justice, and the environmental industry often see themselves as quite separate and even at war with each other. SolarPunk is a very powerful cultural narrative that could bring together efforts across these sectors in an aligned way. This was an interesting take and perspective to me because I'm usually the type of person that sees tech as technology, like AI, like phones, like all that shit, as something that's actively degrading our society and causing more issues. I feel this way about technology, about it being a bad thing, because there's a slippery slope when it comes to using technology to aid environmental issues and just slowly using it as like a band-aid fix or falling into like geoengineering where what we're doing is actually like worsening the issue, like we're just changing the environment even more. We're not actually fixing our habits that lead to environmental destruction, and we continue to be this self-destructive species that is not mindful enough to change the way we live so that we're not actively harming ourselves and the earth. Why I think this idea of SolarPunk, seeing technology as a good thing, is refreshing, because not only in this society would we be utilizing technology and innovation, but we would also have to be held responsible and like have to change our habits and have our perspective change to create this new world. It's not just, oh, we're going to use technology to fix everything. We've also got to have like the right mindset of like, we respect nature, we love nature, nature is part of ourselves, nature is part of our community. We still have to have those ideologies so we do not fall into these bad habits. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of videos just because this is something that's trending on social media. So the first video is by Zinni, which I'll put it up on the screen here. But she talks about SolarPunk being an economy based around innovation and nature first. Humans remember they're animals and that they are nature. We remember we're all the same. There's technology-powered sustainability. And the second video I looked at was by Free Lychees. And he talks about how the earth is alive and we are the universe experiencing itself. And we basically all need to have an awakening to our oneness before this society can fully emerge. Our structures will fall, like oppressive power structures. We're seeing these systems fail right now. They are going to eventually fall. And we can start to rebuild a new world that is land stewardship, communities, cities become greener, art becomes more at the forefront. One more article, and then we'll get to our conclusion. But the last article was wordsdeferred.com or something like that. And it talks about how the first literature we see that has similar ideas to SolarPunk is Historias Ecologicas e Fantasticas in Mundo by N in Mundo. Sorry, I have no idea. I will try to put that title up here. But this article just basically talks about the contrast between cyberpunk and solarpunk, and they describe cyberpunk as a wildly unequal world full of wealth disparity, desperation, and hopelessness, where the unification of corporate greed and governmental control make the rich practically unassailable. And the article does talk about how, like, if they were a pessimist, that's how they would view this current world. I think this article might be slightly outdated because in 2026, this is definitely the world we live in. I think a lot of people feel that way. I definitely feel that way. And so solarpunk is trying to move towards something new. And they describe solarpunk as average Joe has the duty to fight back against the status quo, that the system dominated by corporatism, greed, indifference to human rights, and ecological catastrophe must be overthrown. I like this quote because I think this explains where we are right now. Like, we are fighting for these things to be overthrown, and once they are overthrown, like, we can rebuild it for this new society. Conclusion. The idea of SolarPunk gives me hope, and it makes me very excited. I even see it existing in small scales and in small pockets around the world today. I see it existing in my own community, where we have countless workshops, nonprofits, advocacy groups, community gardens, artist collectives, urban forests. That's where, at least where I live. I think it won't fully exist until something huge or catastrophic happens that can take down these powerful systems. And my intuition tells me it'd have to be a natural disaster, something where it sets a restart. But anyways, even though it doesn't exist fully, it's something we should work towards every single day. Let's start preparing. Start a garden, start a community garden, get involved in community efforts. This is the most important part of this message and of this ideology. Even though we're just looking at this ideology for fun, because it's something interesting, because it's trending, because it's exciting to look at these images, encourage everyone to implement these ideologies into your daily life. Start small, whether it's learning how to recycle, learning how to compost, starting your own small carrot garden in your backyard, saying hello to your neighbor, starting a community movement or a community group where people can share knowledge, can share feelings, can build things together. That's what's most important, and that's what'll give us hope, and that's what will give us energy to keep going in this very exhausting world that we currently live in. So that's all I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too all over the place, and I hope you take it easy on yourself.